It's EVO 2023, and the announcement of a new Guilty Gear season has people super excited. But even bigger news than the new season was the announcement that the entire base roster of Guilty Gear Strive would get new special moves. For Mei, Anji, Ino, Giovanna, Ramathol, and Faust. Some of these were met with cheers, some of these were met with disdain. The trailer ends with the developers letting players know that more new special moves would roll out during Season 3. And so the first question we have is, why new special moves? You might be surprised, but it's pretty uncommon for characters to get straight up new moves in a fighting game, especially when you consider patches. You tend to notice developers tweak what already exists. In the past, they would normally add new moves to new games. Might sound weird or obvious, but consider the difference between a game like BlazBlue Continuum Shift 1 and BlazBlue Continuum Shift 2. Characters didn't really get new moves in between the two, they just got rebalanced and redesigned. As opposed of going from BlazBlue Continuum Shift to BlazBlue Chrono Phantasma, where many characters got new moves, both special moves and normal moves. Or take Guilty Gear Xrd, the previous game in the Guilty Gear series. Guilty Gear Xrd Sign was the original one, and that game did have patches where, again, they had balance changes. Once you got to Revelator and Rev 2, characters got both balance changes and new moves. Once you get to the age of fighting games being console first, you can see this even more clearly. DBFZ has a ton of characters, for example, and they have rebalanced characters from Season 1 over and over and over again over the years, not really giving them anything brand new. Probably like the biggest change that's not like a tweak is the addition of multiple assists to characters from launch. So it becomes a little bit more clear that adding new special moves is a pretty big turning point for the game, as new special moves are associated with a new game, a new way to play. And if you've been exclusively playing characters from the base roster, you've been playing mostly the same character for 2 years. Some characters get changed more than others, but the character concepts have not really changed. So if none of the DLC characters interest you, then the combination of balance changes and a new move is like a brand new, longer discovery period, which is fun for people. That being said, there's a pretty big challenge of adding new special moves to Guilty Gear Strive specifically. From my perspective, I think the developers have 3 major goals they're trying to accomplish with the new special moves. So 1, if the character has some sort of solvable flaw, they want to fix that. 2, if the character already felt like pretty complete and pretty good, then give that character something new to explore. And then 3, and probably the hardest one out of these, is that it has to be a brand new move that the character has never had before. So not referencing something from the older games. Picking an old move from the older games is something that I've done before. My main in Guilty Gear Xrd, Milia, did not have the H version of Pin in Xrd Sign. It's something they gave to her later in Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2, so pretty late in the game's lifespan. So I actually respect the effort of them not going this way and trying to come up with new concepts to keep the game fresh. So what have they added so far to the game? I want to actually go through all the new moves that have been added so far. Out of the initial 15 characters in the game, they've added new moves to 10 of the characters, and I want to do one in each category. One, a move that solves a big flaw of the character, and another that kind of enhances and adds to the discovery of the character. Just so you get an idea of what I mean. A move that was given to a character to solve a flaw that the character would have would be like Anji's Midare. Anji's character concept is pretty simple. So this character has a lot of things with gaps that are not safe. But if he can score a hit, he can cash it out for a pretty good return. On offense, he does this with Fusion, a special move with multiple follow-ups. The thing about this move is that everything has a response that could lead to him being punished. So if the defender has a read on the attacking Anji, then they can get out pressure and even get combos. But if the Anji player has a read on the defender, then he can keep up his offense or even score big combos. In neutral, he does it with this move, which is Suigetsu no Hakobi, which people call spin. As I mentioned before, a lot of things that Anji does have gaps and they're kind of unsafe. In neutral, he compensates for it with this move. If you swing into this move, you get stopped automatically, and he's able to mount a counterattack of his own. Now, the problem with this move was, despite the concept being pretty strong, there was actually quite a bit of really good counterplay to this move, to the point that in some matchups, the spin was kind of not worthless, but not good. So, for example, if you had a projectile that you could do from a distance, you could attack him pretty safely. Since the projectile is separate from you, you don't freeze from the spin. Also, if you had some type of really good jab or far-reaching physical attack in general, you could swing into this move relatively safely and not get punished. So, his new special move aims to solve this a couple of ways. So one, it's fast. So in the case that you use a fast move like a jab, you're going to get punished anyway, as opposed to him recovering, you recovering, and you being fine. Now, in the case that you use a projectile or something, and the Mirare doesn't punish you straight up, it has a guard crush that's advantageous, so he's able to attack after. And the move has invincibility on it, so you're not able to swing very easily into this. It also is a hard knockdown, meaning that he gets to set up offense off it if it hits. So the combination of the knockdown, the invincibility, and the speed make it an amazing complement to spin, and I thought this was the best new move of the launch version of Season 3. Now, an example of a move that they gave to a character to kind of open up the character, because they thought the character was fine already, would be Chipp. And this would be Tightrope, which he just got in Season 4. Now, Chipp is usually a high or top tier character, and he has weaknesses. So he's known for having really low HP and dying quickly. And because of his speed and how his buttons work, he's not that good at swinging into low kicks. But despite these weaknesses, he doesn't have things that solve him like Anji did on launch. Like, as an aside, I think Anji is ridiculous right now, but in the history of the game, he's been struggling up until around, let's say, Season 2.5. So instead, they gave him this move, and this move does a couple things for Chipp. For starters, it gives Chipp access to some of the least used moves in his kit, the wall run moves. I'm sure if you play Chipp, there's some niche usage for wall run moves that other players would not know about, but for people who play any other character, you only really see this when Chipp is comboing you to kill you or break the wall. This move also opens up his speed more. He is a speed character, but in Season 1, 2, and Season 3, he basically was a dash block bot slash run at you with fast buttons bot. His unique floaty jump and the ability to jump 3 times, plus his faster than average air dash are both good and stand out, but I think the Tightrope gives him the feeling of being a fast character of unique movement in a very different way than Milia, especially since people compare these two characters a lot because they're the fastest characters in the game. And finally, since there's no real flaw to fix with the character, there's just a lot to explore with the move because it has a lot of weird and interesting properties. So in Anji's case, I kind of get the feel that, this is the way we wanted Anji to play from the beginning, where in Chipp's case, they're like, okay, here's a new way that you can play Chipp. So looking at the base roster, we can look at who got what type of new move. For the flawed camp, along with Anji, we have Faust, Axel, Ino, Potemkin, and Milia. And for the new tool camp, along with Chipp, we have Giovanna, Ramlethal, and May, for a total of 10 characters currently. So next, I want to look at the rest of the new moves they've added so far. Interestingly enough, Faust and Axel kind of have the same flaw, which they both struggle against dash blocking because of having poor cancel options, but Faust and Axel go about it a different way. So Faust got Item Eat, a variant on his iconic Item Throw. So Item Eat serves a couple of purposes. So for starters, you can mitigate some of the RNG factor of Item Throw by using this move, because you're storing the item for later. Think of it like storing a power-up from like a 2D Mario game. When you spit the item out, you can choose to spit it out in different positions by holding either forward, back, or nothing, depending on the situation. And this rewards situational awareness. This move also serves as a new cancel option for him. So Faust's main cancel options prior to Season 3 was Scalpel Pull, Mix, this Tornado, which can be steered, and of course his item throw. In older versions of Guilty Gear, the item throw is actually quite fast, but in this game specifically, he has no limit to how many items he can throw, so the trade-off ended up being that the item throw is much slower than before. Now, item E is unsafe on paper. It is 31 frames total, so something like this would be around minus 13. But if you aren't a fast character, it is very unlikely you're actually punishing this move on normal block, especially with the added pushback of moves like his 5H. On top of that, while the item eat does actually animate similarly to item throw, it activates much faster, going to the point where he pulls the item out way faster, making it kind of hard to parse and tell the difference between what's going on. It gives this move a role similar to Soul's Gunflame Feint. It has more recovery than Gunflame Feint, but again, he's doing it from much farther ranges than Soul would. And this move, plus the addition of Blue Wild Assault, helped Faust out a lot from this perspective. In Axel's case, they gave him this move, the Whistling Wind, aka Tornado, and similar to Faust, his main cancel options were moves like Sickle Flash, a long-range chain, with various follow-ups. This move Snail, which on block is death, but it's a typical confirm for him, and Rainwater, which has gone through a few iterations, but is a good cancel option because it's plus, but if an opponent reads it, it can lead into a major punish. The Tornado is a welcome addition for Axel. When uncharged, it's a very safe -4, and people are generally out of range for doing this, so he can space himself to be safe based on position, or he can charge it up for more advantage. He can also use it for knockdown setups, and since the charge version goes extremely far, he can use it to both control space preemptively and use the special move to build meter. There is a small problem where you can swing past this move, but besides that, it's a very welcome addition to Axel's toolkit. Now, Ino got this move, Mad Love Arpeggio, aka MLA. Now, throughout the game's lifespan, one of Ino's biggest problems is that she is very linear with her movement. Ino cannot run, she has this hover dash a la Morrigan from Darkstalkers. So even though she has good special moves that low profile and travel far, or this dive that's very fast and reaches the ground, horizontal space control, plus the dash, it was still not too difficult to keep her kind of pinned down, and they had to add a dash block for the character. On top of that, she shared problems with mix-up characters like Milia in the past of her mix-ups didn't do a lot of damage. So MLA seeks to fix both problems. This move both helps in combos, leading to much better corner carrying, can be used as a surprise poke that goes over some moves that would beak stroke to victory, as well as being a pressure tool that guard crushes. The move also acts as a dash-in of sorts, as some characters will do styles of pressure where they do a move that is like slightly unsafe, but they have cancel options, so they'll do move, dash, move. Ino, of course, is not great at this and has to use her hover dash. So MLA does a good job of filling that role, functioning as a strong pressure reset tool. Milia got this move, Artemis. This move serves as an additional safe special cancel option for Milia. The retreating nature of the move leaves her at an advantageous position, and at -2, it leaves her much more safe to continue offense, compared to the previous tool you would use for this, which is Lust Shaker. This move is also very rewarding on counter hit, as well as upping her damage with its long wall-bound property. And the knockdown on this move enables some more corner flexibility for the character as it leads outside of the corner. Finally, the devs gave Potemkin Heat Tackle, and this move covers a couple of small but important things for Potemkin. For starters, Heat Tackle enables him to combo off non-counter hit lights and jabs with pretty good corner carry, and corner is where Potemkin is at his strongest. Potemkin has a lot of special boosts, but he doesn't really have a good way of comboing off lights, especially jabs, without this move. Now, the other thing this move is used for is for neutral. Without Heat Tackle, Potemkin has a gap in where he can control the screen. And don't get me wrong, this character is presence is felt on the screen with moves like Slide Head and Mega Fist, especially if you could do the Kara Mega Fist. And there's an area around Potemkin where he's really good at controlling space inside 5H range. So you have things like Far Slash, Heat Knuckle, Anti-Air Jabs. Around this distance, there's not really much he could do previously about someone chilling in this space without the threat of meter. So even with no resource, Heat Tackle can be used to force people down to the ground. Now, on the new tool side, first we start with Giovanna. She has this move, Chave. I think I usually say this move name wrong, my bad. And alone, it doesn't look very impressive, but this is a move that actually powers up her other special moves. For example, her normal 214K is a soft knockdown, has some more pushback too. But the enhanced version has massive pushback and is also a hard knockdown. On top of that, the normal 214K can be 6-speed, where the enhanced version cannot. Originally, players focused on this move's combo potential, but the enhanced version of her Spiral Arrow move was character defining in Season 3 because of its Guard Crush properties. The main point of this move is that Geo doesn't really have any major flaws and has pretty much been high tier for the entirety of the game's duration. So this move gave her like 4 new special moves. Now, Mei got Leap, so similarly to Ino, she's linear in movement. Maybe not to the same extreme because she does have a run and also has one of the best jumps in the game, along with top tier normals. But Leap adds to her Dolphin special moves. She also has like a break on it that she can use to alter both pressure and do certain setups, like a dangerous strike throw of charge 6H. The new steer to the Leap 2 offers both flexibility in pressure, along with new setup potential of various knockdowns. And finally, Ram got this move, Ondo. Prior to Season 3, Ram has generally been considered to be a top tier character, but you could kind of play around her game plan. And this was from how she acted in mid-screen. Without the new special move, her cancel options were not too scary, so the goal was to stay in mid-screen and try to keep your advantageous position so that she couldn't get to the corner and loop her strong corner pressure. With the addition of this move and it being advantageous, she makes it so people can't simply just dash block at her and forces you to pick different things like jumping and air dashing, opening up new ways for her to play her mid-screen game. Now, I spent this time talking about new moves, but there are a bunch of characters that did not get new moves, but they got moves reworked in a major way. Take this move that Faust got in Season 4, Hole in One. If you haven't been paying attention to the game or you don't play this game, you would be like, where did they pull this from? And the thing is, you'd pull it from his scalpel. When you reel them in with the follow-up, he presses the H button and he swings a golf club. Which brings us to this move. This move is incredibly unsafe on block, especially compared to the previously talked about item eat, but this move allows him to interact with his items in even more ways. Specifically, that he can throw items and use Hole in One to just send the item right at you. Or you can take even my own main right now, Baiken. Her defensive special move, Hiragi, the parry. This is what it normally looks like, but now you have the ability to activate it from block stun, like older versions of Guilty Gear, which has this guard crush effect that is dash cancelable into a mix-up. This is definitely not a new move, it's the same input, it's just used in a different spot, but it's a pretty major rework and application of a move that already exists. And maybe you can say Hole in One is like a small adjustment to Faust's game plan, but something on the lines of the guard cancel parry is a huge one in comparison, despite her not getting a brand new special move with a new name. And I bring this up mostly because of the last 5 characters who have not gotten their new moves yet: Sol, Kai, Leo, Nago, and Zato. So what can we expect for new moves for these characters? Well, from at least what we've seen so far, the only character out of these 5 that people would say with relative certainty has actual flaws would be Zato. But what do you even give a character whose special ability is to control another character and overwhelm you with offense? And also is not a move he had in past Guilty Gear versions. And to be honest, I don't really have an answer to that question. Funny enough, it's probably easier to give a new special move to characters like Sol and Kai, relatively simple characters that are hard to master. and also because the other 4 characters don't have any major flaws to solve. Out of the other 4 characters, I think the easiest character to come up with a new move for would probably be Kai, because he's the closest thing to having a actual problem in Season 4. And it's mostly around his Shock State property, because in Season 4 he's become more focused around using Shock State than previous versions, but unlike Testament, who got more time on Stain State in this patch, Kai did not get additional time on Shock State. So for example, they could give him a move that gives him easier access to Shock State, as his main entries are Fireballs and Dire. Alternatively, he could get a new special move that adds time to the Shock State timer. Something like this would make sense from how they changed the character in this patch. Nago, Soul, and Leo got some pretty drastic changes this patch. Leo got major changes to back turn in that he could slide with the normals. The sliding in his back turn leads to corner-to-corner combos without using Blob Assault. His 2-4S has more pushback, which makes it easier for him to go to the back turn if he wants. Soul's Night Raid Vortex got sped up, leading into combos that could be done as with punishes, along with Fafnir being sped up to be a safe cancel option. And Nago got his typical, let's nerf some things, but then also buff some things so that he's the same. So I don't actually know what you would give these characters. The next DLC character is going to be Venom. He's due to come pretty soon. He was supposed to come out earlier this year, but they delayed his release. So I'm expecting this character to come out either at the end of March or maybe in April at the latest. And usually with a new character, a patch comes, so typically they add a new move. So I'm really curious what character they're going to give what. Let me know what you guys think though. Who do you think is going to get a new special move? What type of move do you think they're going to get? As usual, too, if you have any other questions or comments, definitely feel free to leave them in the comment section below. If you're interested in Guilty Gear coaching, I do that on Medify at medify.gg/@LordKnight. I also have a Patreon at patreon.com/LordKnight that helps support this channel. I stream most days on Twitch at twitch.tv/LordKnight if you want to come hang out, and that's where we record videos for my second channel, which is LK Chronicles, LordKnight Chronicles. So check that out if you feel like it. Like and subscribe if you feel like it too, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.